I've been wanting to record an episode about how the menopause has impacted my creativity, my business, and my ability to show up in everyday life, really, if I'm honest, over the last few years. And it's just felt really difficult. I think partly because it feels quite vulnerable to share just how much of an impact it had on me. And also because I think as I felt ready to talk about it, something else would happen, and I'd realised that I hadn't quite made my way back to sort of health, I guess, is maybe the best way of saying it. And although I don't think I'm fully there now, the bad days are much further in between. Is that the right way of saying it? They don't happen as much. And so I'm feeling ready to talk about it. And the reason that I want to talk about it is because one of the things that I never expected from menopause was for it to take my creativity away from me. I've always thought of myself as a creative person. I'm always making things, if it's knitting, sewing, quilting, dressmaking, baking. And that just fully disappeared. And it kind of left me wondering and questioning who I was and what I wanted to do. And it actually resulted in me stepping back from my business for a good 18 months. So I'm going to chat about how it impacted me. And I've got some notes down here. So if you see me looking, because what I don't want to do is just turn this into a rant about how rubbish menopause is, because that's not really useful and that's kind of not what I want to do. It is what it is. We all go through our own journey, but I just kind of want to share how it impacted me and how I am kind of rebuilding my creative business back, and why my approach has changed so much. So, hi, I'm Sonia. I talk about running a gentle, slow business. I'm a creative and I'm trying to do both of those things whilst navigating midlife and all of the crazy things that that can bring with it. And before we dive into the menopause side of things, I just want to give a bit of background and context into how my menopause journey started. And that's not because I'm going to share my whole medical history with you, but I do think it adds some kind of relevance to my experience. So, my menopause started as a result of a hysterectomy, which put me straight into surgical menopause. And because of my young age, I was put onto HRT because of all the health benefits that that can give, which was fine to start with. But over time, my symptoms and how I felt started to get completely out of whack, I guess is maybe the best way of saying it. And it shouldn't have really been a surprise because I have a lifetime history of not doing well on hormone related drugs. They just send me crazy off as they build up in my system. And it turns out that HRT was exactly the same. And so unfortunately, I had to come off it. My body had to kind of regain its equilibrium, and then I had to go through menopause au naturel, which was not particularly easy because I've personally found that a lot of the advice is take HRT, try a different HRT, or take a stronger dose of HRT. Um, that is going into a slight rant, but um, everyone that I saw, the advice was just buckle up and you'll get through this. Everyone does. So it wasn't particularly helpful. So as I'm talking about things, I would really appreciate it if you did not just advise me to take HRT in the comments. Um, I know I'm not alone in not being able to take it or tolerate it, and yeah, it wouldn't be particularly helpful. Let me just have a quick look at my notes to make sure that I'm not missing anything. So, how did menopause change me? There were lots of different ways, but broadly speaking, it was extreme tiredness bordering on fatigue and exhaustion. It was having loads of mood swings, um, very changeable energy, and brain fog. Just check my notes on the brain fog, make sure I'm not missing anything. And that was quite different to how I used to be. And I think it's really hard because I think menopause doesn't happen in isolation to other things that are happening in your life. So, we'd been through COVID, I'd lost my mum to cancer, kids are going into exam years at school. There was a lot going on. And the tiredness, when it started, I was just like, oh, there's just a lot going on in life, and this is what happens, and let's push through. But it got to the point where I pretty much had, I'm going to call it a nana nap every single day. And I remember falling asleep with my head in my hands on my desk for like an hour one day and just waking up and just thinking, oh, this seems a little bit extreme. And that just kind of kept building. And it almost became a joke in the house of, oh, glasses are coming off. I'm scooching down on the sofa and falling asleep. But it didn't really seem to shift no matter how much I slept, and that made it quite difficult to function and to work. And I think the moment that kind of made me think this is something more than just everyday life is I was walking the dog in the morning, and it was 8:30, and I was on my way home, and I was starting to feel breathless, and I just had this moment of I've got nothing left in the tank. And I had an accountability group I was meant to be running. I had things that I was trying to do, and I just had no energy for any of it. And that was really hard. And that was 18 months ago now. But it was at that point that I realized I needed to do something different because the impact of always being tired, brain fog, mood swings, and everything was that I was starting to have to reduce what I was doing on a day-to-day basis because it was focusing on what are the essentials that I need to do, walk the dog, feed the kids. The creativity and the things that I needed to do in my business kept dropping lower and lower and lower. It was more around the essentials, and then everything else became the nice to haves. And the impact of this was that over time, my confidence started to get knocked because I was doing less and less in my business in order to just do the essentials I needed to do in each day. I wasn't having the ideas of things that I wanted to make. The projects that I was doing, because I had some block of the months and different things that I'd been working on, were becoming a real struggle to do. So I'm not against making mistakes and going back and changing them. But it's part of the designing process, it's part of the making process, and actually I quite like making mistakes sometimes because it can lead to other ideas, it can become a feature in a pattern, I can end up with unusual pattern combinations and things. So I'm not against that, but I was just making mistakes all of the time. The things that I'd always been able to do, I suddenly wasn't able to do. And so my confidence just started to get chipped away through that process. And the creativity was going, I didn't have any inspiration for what to do. And in the end, the only sensible thing combined with this whole I've got nothing left to give was I think I just need to take some time out and rediscover my creativity and get healthy again. So I kind of went into this period of just doing the bare minimum and focusing on getting better. And that resulted in a lot of downtime. And then eventually my creativity started to come back towards the end of last year. And to be honest, since the beginning of this year, I've not really stopped making. I'm making lots of different things, I'm experimenting, and I'm having a ball. But alongside that journey, I think journey is a word that's overused quite a lot now, isn't it? But let's say journey of kind of going through sort of menopause is all the other things that happen in life as well. Because my children, I've got three children, are now all teenagers. They're going into the exam years. Like I said, I'm back to doing college runs, which I haven't done for years. You know, the kids always used to walk to school, but one of them has now moved to a college where there's not very good transport. So I'm back to doing college runs, and that really cuts into my day. I'm also kind of simplifying my life. So I spent quite a lot of time decluttering. Um, and I don't want you to think that that means my house is spotless. That is not the case at all. But just working through things and starting to get rid of things, because I almost feel like we're moving into that next chapter. So I guess the best way that I can describe that is, I remember when the kids were small, we had three, four, and under, so it was quite an intense time. And it's all baby. And I remember there was this big moment where we got rid of the buggy and they all started going to school, and you had time, and we did work around the house to make it ready for that next stage. And we're now at the point where the kids are finishing school, they're looking at what they're going to do after school. And again, I feel like it's not just a house shift, it's kind of almost like a life shift of what does this next stage look like, as my husband and I get more independence, we've got more time, and how do we want to spend that time? So it's not looking after loads of belongings in the house, although I've still got loads I need to sort out. And it's also thinking about what are the things that I want to make, because I've always, I think I did a video about mindful making, and I don't want to make and design patterns because it's been 6 months since my last pattern, so therefore I must make one now. I want to design things that are properly useful, and I want to create things that are going to be used. So it's changed my thoughts on creativity in terms of the materials that I want to use, the things that I want to make, and the usability of those things as well. So it's been quite an interesting time. And I have been, as I said, just playing and having a go at things. So, you know, moving forward, I'm working on a pattern at the moment, which I started in January, and it's been a very slow design process compared to anything else I've ever done before. And I think that's for a number of things. I think some of it is, going back to that loss of confidence on my ability to do things because I was just always making mistakes. There's also the element of, although my energy is more stable now, I can still wake up and have moments where I'm a bit like, "But this week is not going to be a good week." And I don't always know when that's going to happen. Um, 18 months back, it would be if I had a really busy day, that would knock me out. Whereas now, that's not always the case, but I can't always guarantee it. And so, in terms of planning makes and planning a pattern launch, let's say, I've been nervous about putting a firm date on it because I don't want to let people down, but I also don't want to let myself down and knock away at the confidence that I've built back up in my ability to do things. Um, so yeah, it has been a journey. But I think moving forward, I'm really excited to kind of play and experiment. I think they've been my big words going into this year. And if anyone else has struggled with their creativity throughout menopause, and maybe if you've just lost your sojo or your knitjo or whatever it is that your creative passion is, if you have the ability to, because I know everyone's setup is different, but if you have the space my recommendation would be to not push through. Now, I literally didn't do anything creative for probably 8 to 9 months. And instead, I did creativity in other areas of my life. And I think maybe that's a separate episode to talk about. And if that's something that you would like me to chat about, then just let me know in the comments. Um, but yeah, if you can, don't push through, experiment in other areas of your life and trust that it will come back, but maybe it might look slightly different, maybe it won't. Um, I hope that this has been of interest to you. And if you have been struggling with your creativity in your business or in your creative practice, I would love to hear from you in the comments how you have navigated it in your life. And if you've got any ideas you can share with myself or anyone else that reads this or watches this. See, this is my capacity of recording a video and concentration. We will get there. Um, Thank you very much for watching this video. If you've enjoyed this and you want to find out more about being creative and, you know, running a gentle business and trying to figure out what this next stage in life looks like, please do hit the subscribe button and I'll see you soon. Bye.